These are the best comic book movies from each year, part 1, so let's run it back. What's up guys, welcome back to Superhero Legacy. My name is Liam and in today's video I'm going to be telling you my favorite comic book movie from each year starting from 2000 and working my way up to 2024. This list will only include Marvel and DC films because those are the only two properties that I cover on my channel, and I will also be considering both live action and animated movies. Lastly, this will be a two-part video, so be sure to look out for the next half, which I will drop sometime next week. But with all that said, let's get into it. I'm going to be starting at the year of 2000, but if I had to pick my favorite comic book film representing every year before 2000, I would have to go with Batman Mask of the Phantasm, which was released in 1993. I still consider it to be one of the best Batman movies ever made, and it even introduced one of the best original Batman villains, which of course was Phantasm. But moving on to the year of 2000, I could go with the very first X-Men movie, which kickstarted the entire Fox X-Men universe, but instead I'm going to give it to Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. This was another incredible animated Batman movie which delivered an emotional story about grief, vengeance, and broken relationships. In 2001, there were no Marvel or DC movies that were released, which is sad because that was the year I was born, but whatever. Up next is 2002, and my top pick for this year is Spider-Man, which I think helped spark the entire superhero movie genre. For 2003, I'm going to give it to X2, which was a great sequel to the first film. Speaking of sequels, my favorite movie from 2004 was Spider-Man 2. This is one of the best comic book movies to this day, so this was a pretty easy pick for me. For 2005, I'm going to go with Batman Begins, which was Christopher Nolan's strong start to his revolutionary Batman trilogy. For 2006, I'm actually going to give it to X-Men: The Last Stand. I recognize that it has some very noticeable flaws, but as a kid, I absolutely loved this movie. For 2007, I gotta go with Spider-Man 3 because the only other comic book movies that came out that year were Ghost Rider and Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, and I can't let either of them win. Even still, I like Spider-Man 3 more than most people, and you gotta respect all the memes. Now we move into 2008, which I consider to be the start of the modern era of comic book films. This was the year that Iron Man was released, which kickstarted the entire MCU. It was a phenomenal movie which would have been number one if it hadn't been for the release of The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is considered one of the best cinematic achievements, especially for comic book films, so yeah, it's taken the cake. My top pick for 2009 is Zack Snyder's Watchmen, which was based on the renowned comic series by Alan Moore. I do still think the comic was much better, but overall I think it's an underappreciated movie, and I just can't let X-Men Origins Wolverine come out on top because that was an abomination. 2010 was another easy pick for me, and it's going to be Batman Under the Red Hood, which is in my opinion the best animated Batman film. In it, Bruce Wayne battles an enemy of the past, and it's just all around great. In 2011, Captain America: The First Avenger was released, and it was a great movie, but it's not the winner. X-Men First Class came out as well, and it's one of the best X-Men movies, but it's still not the winner. This might hurt some of you, but I'm actually going to give it to Thor. I'm a big supporter of this movie, I like it a lot, and I think it's a very underrated MCU film. In 2012, The Amazing Spider-Man came out, which is another underrated film, and I do like it a lot. The Dark Knight Rises came out as well, and it was pretty good, but they both get edged out by The Avengers, which was one of the biggest achievements in cinema. In 2013, we got the beginning of the DCEU with Man of Steel, which was a fantastic film. 2013 also gave us an animated movie called The Dark Knight Returns Part 2, which was based on Frank Miller's comic book masterpiece. This film finished the two-part movie narrative, and it was amazing. It might have been the winner for this year had it not been for the release of another DC animated movie called Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox, which is in my opinion one of the best DC movies ever made. 2014 was a huge year for comic book movies. We had The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I'm a strong advocate for. We got Big Hero 6, a Marvel movie many people forget about, but was great. We also had X-Men Days of Future Past, which is certainly one of the better X-Men films. But all of these movies fall short to Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which revolutionized the superhero movie genre. However, there is still one more film that came out in 2014 which I like even more than The Winter Soldier, and for me, that's Guardians of the Galaxy, one of my favorite movies of all time. For 2015, I'm gonna give it to Fantastic Four. Just kidding, that was a joke. No, actually that movie was a joke. But being for real, in 2015 we had the release of Ant-Man, which is another underrated MCU film. film. We also had another DC animated film called Batman vs. Robin, which I really enjoyed. It features the Court of Owls and it explores the conflict between Bruce and his son Damian. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to give it to Avengers Age of Ultron. I've always really liked this movie even when people hated on it. It has its flaws, but overall I think it's pretty good. 2016 was another big year for superheroes. We had Doctor Strange, which I really liked a lot, but it just couldn't compete against Deadpool, which was one of the freshest comic book movies ever made. Even still, Deadpool just couldn't compete against Captain America Civil War, which is one of the best films in the superhero movie genre. With all that said though, I'm gonna end this video right here. Let me know what you think of my list so far, and be sure to look out for the second half of this series that I'll drop sometime next week. But for now, peace. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Please like and subscribe for more superhero content and share your thoughts on my favorite comic book films from 2000 to 2016 down in the comments below. You can check out some of my other videos right over here, but for now, thank you so much for watching and stay super.